Hello there, and welcome to the CP7 podcast. My name's Parm.
And I'm Andy.
And together, we are Chrono Passion 7. Hello, and welcome back to your favourite watch-related podcast, where passion is our middle name. It's watch show season. We've had British Watchmakers Day, and now we've got the big one. We are off to Geneva Watch Week, better known as Watches and Wonders 2026. It's going to be immense. It's going to be epic. Andy, how are you feeling?
Yeah, I'm feeling not too anxious, actually. Previous years, I get a bit anxious towards this time. But yeah, I've got a feeling of calm this time around, which is, I don't know if I should be worried about that or not, or if it's just getting a bit more seasoned with these events.
Yeah, the panic comes later.
Yeah.
No, I'm a bit tense because I've just got back from a 2.5 week holiday, or trip, actually. I wouldn't say call it a holiday. It was just mainly meeting family in India. So my body clock is all over the place. I've just had a week's gap between the two and I'm flying out to Geneva again. So my feet haven't really touched the ground, but I think as we draw closer, I'm getting more and more excited.
Yeah, you'd be running off adrenaline, I believe. I'm excited. Don't get me wrong. I'm excited, but I'm not anxious, which I think is a good thing. But I think before we get into everything we are looking forward to, I think we need to find out what's on our wrists, right? So what you're wearing today.
Okay, what I am wearing is the watch which in our last show was called the Game Changer. I am wearing my Cartier Pasha 2378 with a silver dial, 38 millimeters, amazing machined gear shade dial, date at 4:30, numeric indices at 3, 6, 9 and 12, and this amazing canteen top style crown cover with a beautiful blue cabochon on it, Gerald Genter design, made for the Pasha of Morocco in the 20th century.
I guess over to me. What am I wearing today? I'm wearing my beloved Jaeger LeCoultre Calatrava, which my parents very kindly purchased for me for my 40th, which is scarily approaching this month. So I'm hitting the big 40 very soon. And as our listeners will be aware, this watch went flying off my wrist, unfortunately, and it's been put right now, which is great. But one thing was, when I purchased the watch, the crystal definitely wasn't the original. It was a little larger, a bit too domed for the watch, because it's a very slim profile. And now, like my watchmaker changed the crystal to a lower profile, and just the way it feels and looks now it just feels different in a very good way. So I'm really happy to have this one back. I'm fighting with myself because I want to take it to Geneva, but there's a different watch, which I believe I will be wearing for the Watches and Wonders trip. We've talked about this watch many times, so I think we all know it's simple three-hander in pink gold on a beautiful beads of rice gold-plated bracelet from the same period. Yeah, I love it. It means a lot to me, obviously, for the reason which it was purchased. Has sentimental meaning to it, and already we've had a bit of an adventure together with the scare, the fall, and the broken balance staff. So it was a bit of a challenge to put it correct. But
the broken balance staff. It sounds like a murder mystery novel. The fall and the broken balance staff. Right. I was expecting you to be wearing your AP, actually, which you'll find out all about later on in the show.
Definitely.
So, Watches and Wonders next week. But one show which has already happened, a big show in the UK, in fact, I would call it the biggest show in the UK now, was British Watchmakers Day. It was the third year they've had it, and I've got to say it was just as good as the first two. Great to see Katya and Alistair, that show. It's going from strength to strength. There's more brands, there's more people. They split it into 3 sessions this time. They did a morning, early afternoon, and then late afternoon. So you got more people in. It was a bigger footfall of punters. It was thoroughly enjoyable. Great to catch up with everyone. I think sometimes these shows just become one big catch up on top of all the watches. Lots of familiar faces. And I want to do a quick shout out to a few gentlemen that I met at the show. For the last 2 years, I've met Nigel and Darren, who've come up to me, said hello, said how much they enjoy the podcast. So shout out to you both. And this year, big shout out to Alistair, who also did the same. Glad you enjoy the show, glad you listen, and yeah, a big shout out to all of you. We will have Katya and Alistair on the show soon to debrief their thoughts and reflections on it. But Andy, What are we going to talk about? What's the tale of the tape?
Let's get into it. I will say one day I will make it across to the British Watchmakers Day. I still haven't as of yet, so apologies. But timing this year had other things going on, unfortunately, over here, which just didn't allow for it. Maybe next year will be the year when I make it across to that event. However, right now, look, we've got the big one approaching, and really the goal today is to share which brands we are most excited to see. We have been working very hard on our agenda schedule in the background, trying to book those. Some hard to get appointments, some maybe more easier. But we've got a nice roster of brands which we will be seeing. And yeah, we have a few favourites which we want to highlight and as to why. Just to share our enthusiasm, right?
You kick it off. What's the first brand you're looking forward to?
In no particular order, but one brand which I always love to see is H. Moser. We have a great relationship with the brand. I've always enjoyed the experience. It's always felt very kind of homely and welcoming and not corporate, which you tend to get with these independent brands. And I'm excited to see a few of the watches they're releasing this year. There's one of which I can't speak much about, as I don't think it'd be available until September. I'm hoping we will, as press, get a preview of that watch, as I have quite a lot of personal interest in that. But let's just say it's a nod to the Alpine Mechanics Edition piece, Streamliner, which I loved. All of you heard me speaking about that on previous shows. It's a really cool connected watch to the Formula One. And maybe something is coming along those lines later on. I can't say anything more beyond that, but I'd be very interested if we can get an early preview. I'm hoping for that. Also, it'd be nice to see they've started to play with ceramic, and they've made their first ceramic streamliner quite recently with like its really beautiful enameled blood red dial. So they always have some quirky and fun pieces up their sleeve. And I just personally enjoy the company with the brand as well. I enjoy catching up with them, and at this stage it feels like talking with friends, to be quite honest. So yeah, Moser, definitely a top one for me.
Yeah, I echo what you said there. That blood red streamliner, crimson red. Yeah, and that black ceramic case with that red dial, black and red is my favourite combination of colours, and I think that is going to be something very special when you see it in person.
One thing I must mention is that it is also a tourbillon, which is, no big deal. It's just at 6 o'clock. But yeah, epic. It's going to be awesome to see that in the metal.
Yeah, just to give it that extra flex. Yeah, just to give in the ceramic, as they say. Yeah, so cool. That's Moser. Always look forward to seeing them. The crew there are really good. Edouard. The difference between Geneva Watch Days and Watches and Wonders is everyone is so manically busy at Watches and Wonders. At Geneva Watch Days, you have a slim to medium chance to meet people like Edouard. Watches and Wonders, slim turns into none. And that's not because of the brands, that's just because of how busy they are. But amazing brand, H. Moser, really looking forward to seeing them. Another brand that we're looking forward to, and me in particular, is Artia. They work their magic with sapphire cases and tourbillons and haute horology with art, science, physics. It's just unbelievable. A visual marvel, I'd say, when you see Artia. And this year they've released a new watch called the Complexity, which is a double tourbillon sapphire case, beautifully made. Just check out the show notes, which can be found at www.chronopassion7, as in the number 7.com. And this could be the best looking watch off the show. I know Artia aren't the best known, but on this podcast, Artia are highly respected. We love seeing them. And check out the Complexity, because that is going to be an amazing double tourbillon watch. What do you reckon, Andy? What's your thoughts on Artia?
I always enjoy the experience with them. The innovation they do with just case construction and the materials which they use, and how it can be a completely different colour depending on artificial lighting, daylight, angle, and magic, right? What they do, the Artia
It's magic. It is making the magic happen, yeah.
And yeah, that sapphire jewel tourbillon, the Complexity looks incredible in the photos. So to get hands on with that will be great. And again, these smaller independent brands, it just feels like you're sitting with your mates, having a catch up, really. So yeah, looking forward to that one.
We're looking forward to seeing Guillaume again. We see him every time. We've invited him on the podcast and not followed up. So we really do need to get him on, because I can imagine that would be a show filled with, wow, just magical information. Just, I don't even know where to start with how they start to do their things, how they think of these things, and then how they execute them. And that would be a great show. If we can get him on, when we get him on, I'm sure we can talk about all of that.
Yeah, I've got no idea how they do what they do, but I'm glad they do it. So the next brand for me, personally, I'm quite excited to see them because I've never really had a connection with a brand, and that's IWC. I've always seen them from the outskirts. To be honest, at watch meets, I've not really handled many IWCs in the metal, and I know they do crazy things. Like last year, they did the pilot's piece, right, with the XPL, with the super shock absorbing system, which looked really impressive, quite a crazy piece. And then I know they do crazy case materials like the Ceratanium. So they do a lot of innovation, and I know they work a lot with ceramic, if not one of the biggest brands with ceramic work for their cases. But I've just never really had that relationship with a brand, a personal connection, should I say. So I'm actually looking forward just to soaking up the experience, getting to learn the watches better, because personally I don't really know IWC that well. I'm quite happy to be honest about that. And that's why we got this appointment this time, because I'm like, IWC is a big one and I don't really feel connected with a brand, and it's a brand I do want to connect with. A personal piece which I really like, a personal favourite, should I say. I like the new Portuguesa. It's the Portuguesa Horizon Blue Perpetual Calendar. I think that looks really crisp and fresh, like a really beautiful piece. And I do love the vintage Da Vinci's as well. It's just, I don't know what it is. A Da Vinci I would love as well. And, the Kurt Klaus connection and, the module, it's incredible stuff. I just feel distant from the brand, and that's why I'm glad we've got the appointment this year. But I don't know if you feel the same or your relationship's a bit different with IWC, Parm, but for me, I feel like it's always been there, but distant for me.
I've been to an event at their boutique in Battersea Power Station in the shopping centre there, where the IWC boutique was, when they launched the Blue Dial Ingenieur. Talking of the Ingenieur, that's probably the watch I've been most connected to of their recent releases. Portuguesa, of course, is a cool watch, beautiful watch. Again, it's a brand that's there, and like you see from the periphery, but we never get too involved in or too hands-on with. I've seen a lot of their watches. I've tried on a lot of their watches, but I've not ever owned one. The Ingenieur was the one I wanted to own, and I still think that is an amazing watch, and I'm really excited to see how they evolved that. Last year, they broadened their catalogue with new materials and precious metals in the Ingenieur collection. I do think that's a line that they can really complicate as well, just like the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak. The sky's the limit. That's a blank canvas to play around with. I always say that. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what they do, what other ranges they develop this year and release. Because I'll tell you one thing, though. I think IWC is such a highly respected brand. The Porsche design stuff as well. Porsche design Titans are what I've been looking at very closely, and on the pre-owned, obviously, because they don't make them anymore. So it's a brand that I'm curious about. But it's when we did the Sartori Biard show and Armand told us the Top Gun range, the Top Gun pilot range, and they're all ceramic, including the Mojave Desert version. And then he said, but the crown is steel. It's not ceramic. Why could they not do that? And I can't unsee it now. I really want to not see it because it's such a beautiful watch. Amazing technological innovation. It's a highly respected piece, but I can't not see that crown now. But I'm hoping they release something else, and
maybe
I forget all about it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Armand, for that, for putting that into my head and into my eyes, because I can't unsee it.
Destroyed the watch for us.
Yeah. But no, really looking forward to seeing IWC. Yeah. I've met the gentleman as well who's showing us around, top guy, and really looking forward to seeing him in Geneva.
Definitely, yeah. It's I'm excited for this one. As I say, I just feel that, again, they've always been on the horizon in the distance, but never so close. So to have a proper appointment this time be good.
Yeah, and the next brand that I'm really excited about is a brand that when we first went to Geneva Watch Days in 2023, we'd never heard of. And they had sporty tonneau case tourbillon watches, and they caught my eye. We saw them again since at Geneva Watch Days and Watches and Wonders, and then now I am in love with this brand, and that brand is Bianchet. Now, it's a bit lazy to say, oh, they just look like Richard Mille's, and they do admit that themselves, yes, okay, but they do say that their price point is so far apart from Richard Mille's. Okay, you don't have Renaud and Papy designing them, but they have got such high quality, such great workmanship. Go and check out Bianchet watches, because they've got a couple of new releases this year. They've actually made their first round watch, from my understanding, called the Rotondo, and it's got almost Chapek and Tartique, but it seems to have its own identity as well. A lot of integrated bracelet watches, you kind of think this one looks like this and this one looks like that. But this one, I think they've managed to nail it, and it has its own kind of look. You look at it and you think, oh, that looks like a... And then you look at it closely and think, what does it look like? Skeletonized movement as well. Around, like I say, a rounded case as integrated bracelet watches go. And very excited to see that one. It's 39mm as well, which is the absolute sweet spot. Yep, I think that's going to be a real winner. And they've also, now this is what has made me think that they're going to be big. They're going to get bigger and bigger. They're already big, but they're going to get bigger and bigger, because they have released a collaboration watch with Maserati. It's in their tonneau case, sporty carbon fiber style with the tourbillon. They're famous for their tourbillon watches. But to land a brand like Maserati when you're up and coming, well, like I say, they're probably not up and coming anymore. But to have the level of visibility that they have shows that I don't realise how big they've actually become. And you do feel like family with them as well. So I'm really looking forward to seeing Rodolfo and his wife Emmanuelle, again, who we first met at. Actually, it wasn't even Geneva Watch Days, was it? I think it was Watch Pro, yeah, Watch Pro 2022 or 3, I can't, 22.
23, I think.
23, yeah, 23. And so we met them there first, then Geneva Watch Days again, and then Watches and Wonders. Yeah, so we've seen them so many times now, and it's always so welcoming. Not just welcoming, but just show us brilliant watches. So that's a brand that I'm quite buzzing about. I'm quite excited to see it. And seeing that Rotondo as well, plus the Maserati. Our good friend Martin Green is a big Maserati fan. I'm really excited, really excited.
No, I love what they do. It's going to be a fun appointment. And which do I choose next? It's a tough one. So I'm going to go to a big one. Probably one of the most important appointments for us is Audemars Piguet. So in the world of Watches and Wonders, there's different, let's say, categories of appointments. And some are quite easy to arrange. And then let's just say some of it, when you get to the Trinity brands and Rolex, etc., it becomes more about building a relationship in order to get that appointment. Luckily, somehow I managed to pull some strings and get us a nice appointment with Audemars Piguet. So I'm really excited about that. Maybe owning the 5043 in Platinum helped open that door a little bit, becoming part of the AP family somewhat. But yeah, just to finally get hands-on with the Neo frame be cool. And in some of their marketing, they're promoting, like, they're going to have this AP lab in the centre of Geneva, which is all about showing their history of watchmaking. And I'm getting this essence with the marketing from AP, from the email communications we have received, that they're maybe taking the angle of a historic nod this year, which is quite exciting, coming up to Watches and Wonders and their first Watches and Wonders. So the Neo frame is an essence of that, and I'm curious to see if we're going to see any more kind of, I wouldn't want to say it's not a reissue, it's not a reedition, it's a reinterpretation into a modern design, which this is what I like about AP as well. They're not just kind of recycling the past, they're taking the old jumping hour and creating it into a modern iteration. And I'd like to see that with other past models as well. So yeah, I'm really excited to just have that experience. It's quite a big one for us. And yeah, just to see what they've got up their sleeve. I'm hoping we're going to start their first year at Watches and Wonders with a bit of a bang and shake things up a bit. But I'm sure, Parm, you're equally as excited, I would imagine.
Yeah, I'm dining out on Andy's hard work there, so I'm going to get to see AP as well, and we're going to see what they've got to offer. The Neo frame is the interesting one. Seeing that they created the first jump hour watch, it's going to be really interesting to see this new one that they've done. The aesthetic with the black sapphire dial, pink gold case. It's said to be slightly big, but I don't know. We'll get to see ourselves. I mean, I think the proportionally looks really good. But when you meant reissues and you're glad they're doing something different, you weren't talking about Universal Geneve, were you?
Whatever would make you think such a thing?
You weren't talking about the Polerouter, were you?
How I'd never be hinting towards something like this. Do we address the elephant in the room? Is that I think that's a perfect cue.
Yeah, let's just give it a couple of. Let's give it a sentence or two.
Go on.
I started it. I threw you under the bus there, so I'll start. The Polerouter is. I like what they've done. They always said, George Kern always said it's going to come in at a high price point. So I don't think anyone can criticize the price because that is how it was always plugged to be. It's the higher end level of Breitling, and it's going to have complications, and they're going to have a lot of fun with it. They could have gone a bit different, but then again, I'm just focusing on the Polerouter because they've re-released some really cool watches as well. The Polerouter is an icon in the vintage world. It may be stuck in that phase that it is always going to be considered a vintage watch, a vintage icon, and it may struggle initially to be as loved and appreciated as a modern watch. Only time will tell that. Like anything, when the fervour starts and the hype starts, people like myself sometimes switch off to it and think, I'm going to come back to that. I'm not going to get involved in the hype now. So I'm hoping that I'm going to switch off, and in a month or so, once the noise has died down, I'm just going to think, wow, look what they did. Or I might just think, no, it's stuck in the vintage icon status.
Yeah, I think that was quite a balanced take on it. I might be a bit harsher, which is funny because I'm somewhat of a vintage guy, right? But what bores me a little bit when a brand is reborn, I think it's great to bring out the staples, right? So the Polerouter, it makes complete logic to have it there. It's an iconic piece. It's, many argue it was Joel Genta's first successful design, let's say, commercially successful design. It was the first micro rotor automatic piece. It has, historical significance. I get that. So that's fine. It's to be expected that was one of the core ranges which would be released. And they've done a great job modernising the movement. The aesthetic is very similar to the past, of course. But also I wanted to see the brand to be reborn, but then brought into the present as well, not relying on just past historic catalogues, basically. And I've got to be honest, like, there's the compacts, okay, classic chronograph, it makes sense, it's there, but it's the same, but new, and, 5x the price. I could just buy a vintage compacts and it looks the same. And then...
But, can I just say something?
Yeah, go on.
Sorry, can I just say something about the compacts? Because this is... I don't think there's a better looking chronograph out there at the moment. I honestly, the Bond...
The Panda is Panda as well, right?
The Bond bit is a bit... And on the reverse Panda, you do get the bracelet with it. But I don't think there's a better looking... It may be exactly the same, but then again, because it's such an icon, again, I may be caught in that vintage icon phase, but I do think that looks good.
I'm not saying it doesn't look good. I'm not saying it doesn't look good. I mean, just to finish is the Cabriolet, and then there's others like with the signature editions, and you've got that kind of keyhole, huge, like Disco Volante style, if you like. It has lugs, but it's like a UFO with lugs, right?
Yeah.
You've got the date at 6 o'clock in its own little disc, and then many, many spirals going around it. I love that. That's that Art Deco classic design. I love it. And it's cool that they've brought that back, but I just feel that they've just brought what they've already... Basically, what Universal Geneve did best back in their heyday, in the golden era of Universal Geneve, they've just re-released all of that golden age collection to modern day standards, and that's it. But I'm not seeing a new Universal Geneve. So I'm happy. I think it's cool. It's
Innovation,
exciting.
you mean?
Yeah, I just want to see innovation beyond the movement and the caliber. And I'm sure the finishing is higher grade now from the past, etc. But I just would have liked to seen okay, let's nod to the past, but let's do something new, or let's do a modern. Let's be a bit more ballsy. I'll say it like that. You have a compact, but you know what? Go a bit more wild with it. Have a Polerouter, but maybe do one what's a bit, left of field a bit. It's just kind of like, oh, well, that was expected.
Some different coloured dials.
And everybody's going mental about it. It's like Universal Geneve relaunched all the watches, what everybody loves, but modern and for 5X. So, I mean, I think they're great. Will I love them when I try them on, similar to Parm? Do I get kind of the herd mentality, the sheep mentality of this is great, how exciting, everybody gets in that hype train, but skinning the game a little bit, I'm kind of see it from an outside perspective. I'm like, why? Like you're getting hyped over pieces which are there already, they've been there for years, and you didn't care about them, but now suddenly you do. So I mean, in certain cases. So I mean, I'm glad they've done it. I respect and love a brand, but I'll moving forward, I want to see some innovation in design and not just rely on past catalogue pieces. Anyway, that's my 10 cents on it.
Yeah, 10, 20 cents. But that makes a lot of sense, to be honest with you. I just think, personally, as a criticism, I think they've released too many at once. I think maybe to relaunch, you had to go a bit safe, possibly, but not release 15 of each model. I mean, you've got to be a serious collector. But then again, Universal Geneve may suddenly take over Rolex as the biggest brand. It's unlikely, but it could happen because they were huge. It's an interesting one. That's why I'm putting a pin in it, because I don't want to say, it's going to be a complete flop, and I don't want to say this is the best thing since Rolex.
It's far from a flop. It's the thing is one thing the social media storm of loving this release. Yeah. I've had people message me, and Matt Bowman shout out, I know you were impressed with the launch, and I'm not critiquing anybody for liking it. He was,
yes, he is impressed very much so.
I critique nobody for liking it, and I'm not saying you're sheep for this, but I just feel, it's this initial buzz, but then, and it's one thing seeing the pictures, but how many of the people who are excited will put the money where the mouth is and actually buy these watches for the prices? Or how many people will go, oh, let me look at Chrono 24 and look at the originals. Oh, I can get those.
That's probably more because...
And how many flippers of vintage watch dealers who are like, oh, now's the chance to... that annoys me a little bit, let me cash in. I've got the rarest Polerouter, tropical dial. Here's the original, cashing in on the wave. It does my head in a bit. Yeah, sorry, we're having
this sounds like a completely hypothetical, not real.
Brutal.
You haven't been through this experience at all. Obviously, this is completely hypothetical.
Oh no,
right?
Yeah, of
you
course.
haven't been speaking to 50 million people about it. Obviously,
yeah, I don't know the game. I don't. Yeah, of course. So I do know the game, and it gets a bit annoying when you see it. Yeah.
No, I think it's an interesting release. Gallet, God knows what's going to happen with that. But let's see. I mean, pure vintage guys are going to be up in arms or counting their pennies and thinking, right, these are about to quadruple. So,
it's all you're going to see if you in the vintage circle.
In the game, yeah. Right, anyway, back to Watches and Wonders. I don't think Universal Geneve are exhibiting, so we won't see them. The next brand that we're going to see, that I'm going to shout out, is Piaget. Now, there's a romance to Piaget that is like no other brand for me. I don't know what it is. It's that 70s look reborn. At first, I used to think the 70s was probably the tackiest decade of recent times in terms of style and fashion and jewellery. Watches always carried in a different light, like the Royal Oak, the Nautilus. Those are 1970s babies. I think Piaget encapsulates that type of 70s disco vibe, but they do it so well. They haven't hinted at any new releases. The only one I know of is the Polo 79 in 18 karat white gold and yellow gold with a rhodium finish. Anything beyond that, they've kept it very quiet. I'm sure they'll go for a thin movement watch. I'm sure they'll go for something because they always seem to dazzle you. The Polo collection, the Andy Warhol collection, there should be a few surprises in there as well. And I can't wait to see them because it's almost like stepping into a time machine, going to see Piaget and seeing elegance and opulence to the max. So I am excited to see their new releases. Hopefully they've got quite a few.
Yeah, Piaget's a beautiful brand. I don't know if there's... Like, the original brand were all about prestige, class, about being...
opulence.
Obnoxiously expensive as well. Unapologetically expensive.
Yeah,
if you can't afford
in your
us,
face.
That's why, we're an elite club. And, of course, the brand moves with the times, and it's not quite that anymore. I'd love to see the protocol come back like we did on our prediction show recently. I think that would be that's a top caliber of watch. Surely we've got to bring that back at some point.
But they'd have to change it though, wouldn't they? Otherwise you wouldn't be happy.
Oh, no, of course. No, I would want to see it modernized. I would. I'm not joking. It's just, but like when you look at the Polo 79, it's not very original. It pays very close tribute to it, but it does feel like a modern watch. And if you put on the original Polo, they feel like two different watches. One's quartz for a start, but the other's a mechanical, micro rotor, right? So they are very different, engineered quite differently now, I would say. So yeah, I'd love to see it reborn in a different light. Yeah, definitely. I think that'd be interesting. But I love what they do with the stone dials, and yeah, they've got a great historical catalogue again, which they can play with and reinvent and pay tribute to, whilst paving a modern way.
I want you to see the white gold and the two-tone 79. I think you saw the yellow gold one. I don't think you've yet to see the other two.
Yeah, the yellow gold's been on my wrist. I don't know if I've seen the other two.
No, but you got to see those. The two-tone, honestly, I tried it on at Selfridges. I spoke to a Piaget person. Thank you very much to her. She's absolutely awesome. And I managed to get to see it at Selfridges in London. And it is, for me, a very special watch. I think the Tulsa King with Sylvester Stallone in season 1 wearing the Piaget Polo really did open my eyes to the watch. I know yourself and Martin have been talking about that for quite a while.
Yeah.
But it just does something. It takes you to a different place. You almost feel, you just see red crushed velvet everywhere as soon as you put a Piaget full gold watch on.
Yeah.
Opulence.
Don't remind me of the old missed boat of the Polo. I remember when you could pick up the Polos for the originals for like 7K. Now they're around 12 plus. Due to the relaunch, also due to just gold going up in value as well. So yeah, missed opportunity there. But I think it's so cool. The OG and the modern, I really like it as well. Great piece. So I think that comes to my final brand. There's many more, but I think Pam would kill me if I talk much longer for dropping the show before leaving for the trip. So I'm going to pick one final, and I had two in mind, and I'm only going to pick one. And I'm going to have to go with, and I think Pam will appreciate this one, and I'm sure you will contribute to this equally with your enthusiasm, but Chopard is my final choice. Again, a brand which has eluded us for the past 2 years. Not that they've avoided us. It's just, again, you've got so many hours in a day, so many appointments you can make. You got to prioritize the brands who you want to see, and which brands we think would be interesting to report on that at the time of getting the appointment set, right, to create a show. But Chopard in recent times have been making some moves, like the Alpine Eagle is, classic. For me, it's the evolution of the St. Moritz. I was a bit unsure of the Alpine Eagle initially, but it has really grown on me, probably since having the St. Moritz and then appreciating its evolution. I certainly have connected with it more. And then just the LUC range is, it goes all the way back to the iconic movement, right? The caliber 196, so 1.96. That caliber was one of the most accurate and highly regarded calibers ever created, and it's just evolved. Like they're still building on that baseline caliber in the modern day LUCs today, which is awesome for me. The swan neck regulator in there, like some innovation went into these pieces. And yeah, like they've got the Grand Strike, which is just again incredible, skeletonized, and yeah, what more to say? Like I'm just excited to get hands on with Chopard and again see what they've got under their sleeve this year, and to get a better connection with the brand, it'd be great. But I'm sure, Parm, now being a Chopard man yourself, you'd be excited for that one. I am
a Chopard man. Yes, my Mille Miglia is absolutely awesome. I love it. It's probably one of the favourite watches I own. I bought a Patek recently, but the Pasha and the Mille Miglia are the two that I just stare at all the time. The Patek is, the pinnacle, but the other two are the fun watches, but very, very cool. Yeah, I can't wait to see Chopard. Hopefully the span of the LUC collection is widened. They always do amazing, aesthetically beautiful and advanced movements as well. Chopard is another original one. We talk about Piaget aesthetic. Chopard's kind of got the middle ground. Like Cartier and Piaget are old world jewelry, fashion. And Chopard is also jewelry, but they've got like a bit more of a balance between the technology and the aesthetics and the style. So it's something that I think is really, and then the association with motorsport with the Mille Miglia, they've got many fingers and many pies, I think, and I think they've really nailed it. And the LUC collection is highly respected. The Alpine Eagle, I remember I was in Doha a few years back. It's probably not so safe now, but it was safe then. Seeing the Alpine Eagle and the dial, texture of the dial and the look of the dial, I remember saying that these are highly underrated. You have to see them. They're watches that you have to see to really get. Yeah, if you want an integrated bracelet sports watch, I think a Chopard Alpine Eagle is definitely worth looking at. New or pre-owned, however you want to do it. But looking forward to what wonders they've got waiting for us in Geneva next week.
I feel Chopard are in a certain stage within their journey within the industry where last year I heard a lot more in the journalistic scene, a lot more journalists talking about Chopard in higher regard with more enthusiasm. I think if I get it right this year, they can get more attention from the consumer market, the people who are actually purchasing. Like the LUC is again the caliber, the finishing, the micro rotor. Again, it was one of the best calibers ever created. So I mean, they've got an awful lot of potential. Again, it's storytelling, and that goes back to Hamish, right, with the Watch Collectors Club. Again, sometimes it's super important for a brand. Like you can make incredible watches, but if you can't tell the story, you don't get the connection with the consumer. And I think maybe that's where Chopard needs a bit more help, the storytelling behind the pieces. And I think if it can get that story across, then that's when they'll take off even more than where we are today. Again, another Andy 2 cents this time on that, but I think
not 20 this time.
I think that's what they need to do. Yeah,
I think they've got a following. Definitely have a following. I spoke to a friend of mine, and I didn't know he's a big Chopard fan. He was like, "Oh, I love Chopard watches." I was like, I had no idea that you're into that, because he's into his cars and he loves the whole motorsport connection, and he loves Chopard. LUC is highly respected amongst enthusiasts, but yeah, the mainstream, I don't know if they want to go that way. Do they want to be known mainstream? I mean, I suppose bottom line is the dollar, but
yeah, they're not like, it's not like they're a low production brand.
No.
So I think they've got room to tap into the market quite well. I think one thing is modern Chopard is quite expensive, especially the LUCs. So accessibility is one thing. But again, it depends if they want that. It's like Piaget, they don't need to be accessible, but it's a different brand association there as well, which we already touched on. So again, like you mentioned, Cartier, Piaget's that old world.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Style,
Cartier is, I'd say Cartier is accessible, right? Chopard, to my knowledge, don't really have anything in that accessible range, like a tank, for 3.5K or 4K.
A quartz tank.
Yeah, whatever it may be, they don't have that piece. And I do think it's important that brands have that gateway piece. Let people get in, let them fall in love with the case making, maybe they don't get the caliber, not the mechanics, but it may be quartz, but let them fall in love with the design and the brand and the story of the brand, and then they climb the ladder, right?
Yeah.
But if your accessible piece is 12K, I mean, it's not as easy for some people to buy into that.
No, but I think they've got the luxury market in hand, so that may work for them. The lower price point, the more accessible price point, possibly not. No, but then you have your Mille Miglia. They don't cost that much. That probably is your entry into.
That probably is. You're correct, but I don't know how. I can't honestly tell you how much the modern iterations cost.
A friend of mine has one. He actually bought one for his 40th birthday, and that's what inspired me. He's a good friend of mine, and I've always enviously looked at his watch, his Mille Miglia, and I was like, okay, one day I'm going to get one of those. And the opportunity arose to get the 18-karat gold one, and I took it. And I've got to say, I do not regret it, because there's something about the romance of a brand sometimes when you stare at its name on the dial and it takes you to a place, or it makes you feel good. And I think that's what Chopard does, if you like that brand, if you like what it represents. The modern ones come in for about 8,500 entry-level Mille Miglia chronograph,
which is quite good, isn't
in-house movement. Yeah, it's no longer my one's an ETA movement, but they have now got an in-house movement too, so they have moved on a lot in terms of mechanical excellence. So
yeah, that's a good point.
No longer using the ETA movements.
I will stand corrected on that particular one. That is your entry. That's your gateway into the brand.
The gateway into. But if you want a chronograph, though, that's the thing. If you want a dress watch,
if you want a chronograph,
it may be more. So that's the thing.
It's true, but they are accessible too, within reason, right? Within this level of industry.
Yeah.
Say this tier of brand, that's quite respectable. It's quite accessible, yeah. So I stand corrected on that one. But yeah, for the higher levels like the LUCs, there's not really one which comes to mind anyway. What's as accessible as that? But that's why we've got the appointment. We'll find out.
That's why we're going to find out all about Chopard, and we're going to tell you all about it and tell you how we got on with them. And there's quite a vintage look to Chopard as well. There's a romance to it again. Like it's one of those romantic brands. I think the jewelry brands really know how to create that feeling about them. But yeah, that's enough about Chopard. And the last brand we're going to mention is a brand that we've both come to love. It's been in existence for a few years only, and that's Norqain. We got to see them last year. One release we are looking forward to is the Wild One Skeleton X-Lite, which has been limited to 200 pieces, weighs only 45 grams, and is constructed from cutting edge, according to Norqain, constructed from cutting edge mix of advanced materials, including Nortec, titanium, aluminium, and the proprietary X-Lite composite. So they've gone all out on the materials and making this as light as possible. And it looks really cool with black and kind of lime accents around the bezel and the crown, making it a very, very cool looking watch. I could see a lot of people liking this watch, but we will get to see it. And they've had quite a few releases out just this week. We're going to get to see them all. So always great to see Norqain, to see Toby, who came on the show, and his brother Ben as well, who we have yet to get on the show, but we could possibly get him on one day as well. Great to chat to those guys. The team they've got, the UK team, is amazing. Shout out to Martin as well. Yeah, really looking forward to Norqain.
Yeah, I echo the same feelings. Great brand, again, family, like a family-run style feeling, even though they're quite a large scale now. They're really cool guys. You can sit, talk to them on the level, and that's always nice. Is no kind of... Some brands, it just feels different, right? And there's other brands where it just feels so comfortable.
So just one thing. On that interview with Toby, they called themselves the Challenger brand. They said, we are a Challenger brand challenging the industry. I think with this Wild One Skeleton X-Lite, this is really making a big challenge on setting new standards for the industry with materials and doing things differently. Yeah. It's good to see.
It's a great looking watch as well. I'm checking it out now as we speak. Yeah, like the Wild One is a cool design, full stop. I'm looking forward to getting hands on. Looking forward to trying this one on.
It looks even wilder, so that's good.
Yeah, it is more wild. Yeah, the new X-Lite. Yeah, it's cool.
Right.
Awesome.
I think we have to pack our suitcases, toothbrushes, passports. We don't want to leave any of those things at home. Yeah, iron the suits, steam the shirts.
Pick the watch.
Pick the watch.
Even though we've already picked.
But, actually we picked. But what watch should we wear?
One thing I will quickly say, as a disclaimer, the show notes will be there. So make sure to go to www.chronopassion7.com. But rushing and packing and ironing and sorting everything out before leaving for a week, the notes will be somewhat brief. So there'll be a gallery there with some of the pieces we touched on, of course, just for you to have a look at. But I'll try put as many in as I can within the gallery.
Or we could pad it out with all the Universal Geneve releases, all of the 100 of them.
That's true. I'll just embed the website. There we go. Just embed their website in ours.
Yeah. Yeah,
there
wow.
You go. Look
it's
at all of these.
About to happen. It still feels weird. We always do these shows last minute and then we just head out.
Yeah, it's a tough one. But, well, you were away, right? You were on a trip.
My feet haven't touched the ground.
Touched on,
really,
and yeah. So this one is a bit off the cuff, let's say. And we did decide to have a little tipple whilst doing this one. So if we're
forgetting everything we're supposed to have talked about, I've been on the Woodford Reserve double cask bourbon with 3 rocks in it. So that's
Johnny Walker
nice
black label for me, and
nice.
Zero Ice. So there we go. Drinking that one neat, but very smooth, very easy to drink. That's why I chose it. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to the trip. Looking forward to reporting back for all our valued listeners. And yeah, we give you the scoop as we get it. Thank you for helping us get there as well. We really appreciate it. If it wasn't for you guys listening to us, we wouldn't have a product to take. So thank you so much for your support, and we'll give you the best possible on-the-ground scoop once we are back, and we'll give you all of the feedback of our experiences.
Yep, I think after that, Whiskey Andy's going to follow up with "I love you, man." So he's really feeling the love at the moment with that. Right, Andy, lead us out.
Thank you for listening, and you will hear us on the next one. So I'll do the classic sign-off. That is hasta luego, adios from Barcelona. And yeah, see you when we're back. And
as Andy says, farewell from Barcelona in Spain to head to Geneva in Switzerland. You have been listening to Chrono Passion 7 on the CP7 podcast. And from London, it's Toodle Pip and laters. And we'll see you, and you'll hear us in the next one.